How far would your government have to go before you fought back? Not just go on a protest march or join a political party, but actually pick up a gun and take to the streets. What are those things that you are willing to kill or die for? Those lines we have, those inviolable moments, are what John Locke calls our natural rights, and his ideas formed the bedrock to the US Declaration of Independence. Before Locke, Hobbes had argued that without government, in the, quote, state of nature, there was nothing but a miserable condition of incessant war. Locke argued that this was too bleak, too materialistic, and left no room for the morals and guiding principles all humans have, which he believed were God-given. For Locke, humans were not just brutal and selfish, but also loving, kind, and charitable. But Locke was not naive. Many people, most perhaps, are capable of horrible and evil actions, and would insist on violence. In doing so, these people were violating the, quote, natural rights of all men. Natural rights were things that we all have in virtue of simply being human, and for Locke, God's creation. They were rules we could discern with our reason that, quote, obliges everyone. These rights were life, health, liberty, and possessions, although oddly people tend to ignore the health part. So if a warmonger or brute seeks to take your life, your freedom, or your things, then they're violating your natural rights. Or let's say in modern interpretation there is a Great Reset agenda being forwarded by the World Economic Forum, who are doing just that in a covert manner in which they admit to through the outcomes of a supposed global pandemic. Since we are all entitled to these, quote, inalienable rights, we're also fully justified in defending them. We can take whatever step necessary to protect our rights for those who seek to encroach on them, and we, the victim, are left to decide what's necessary to do so. Suppose, for instance, someone is trying to break into your house. You might be quite entitled to blind, maim, or cripple them, so to protect your possessions. It's unclear if Locke would be happy with this kind of justice, or if he'd rather we choose most conservative and proportional means necessary, for example, imprisonment or restrainment. But of course, the problem that lies within this is that there are no rights without inextricable responsibility. You have to fulfill the means to want and have them. The same way in that you are never given freedom unless freedom is attained by oneself, through one's own will and desire. Thus people have to know and see clearly what is going on before they can do anything about it. This is especially the case when such an attack against rights, human rights, is never put into public broadcast for the majority to be aware of what is happening under their nose, or when those rights are being taken away under the guise of maintaining something, for example, like safety between oneself and others. Do you agree with Locke? Do you have certain inalienable natural rights? Or do you think, as Bentham did, this is all just, quote, nonsense on stilts? Learn more by checking out Mini Philosophy, a small book of big ideas.